My name is John Chanel and I'm
Mhm.
from Turkey.
Okay.
So basically a brief overview of the Turkish educational system
Mhm.
would be what's required is from first grade on to 12. So we don't actually require kindergarten, even though there were attempts
Mhm.
to require kindergarten, but at the same time, because there weren't enough kindergartens to sustain the population, especially in cities outside of Istanbul.
Mhm.
So the government decided actually not to require kindergarten so far.
So is it different for Istanbul versus other parts of Turkey?
So the requirements are national, so there aren't any like different requirements for different cities, but it's just like more people go to kindergarten or like able to go to kindergarten in Istanbul just because of the nature of the city. And
Mm.
then in rural places, kindergarten is like a foreign concept to many people
Mm.
because not many mothers work, whereas in Istanbul it's the other way around. Like personally, my mother works, so like I would have to go to kindergarten because there would be no one home. So I guess it's kind of different in like big cities. Kindergarten is a must-have because usually both parents will be working. So
So.
primary school is basically 5 years, and then you have 2 more years of middle school. And after that, you take this big exam to get into high school, basically. In Turkey, we have it for high school, and then after high school, we have it for college. So it's kind of like two tiers in a way. So you basically get into school of your choice based on what the students choose, and mostly the schools in Istanbul have the highest points because it's usually where education is the best and the opportunities are also the best. Turkey was just a basic overview of Turkey. It was founded in 1923 and it was basically found from the ashes of Ottoman Empire. And basically why the Ottoman Empire went down, Turkish people think is because of the break between the Western and like the Ottoman society. Because there was a gap between like the scientific technology that was developing in Europe, and then at the same time, because of religious reasons, Turkey didn't have as close relationship, and so basically schooling is a way for Turkey to catch up to the West. This is like the main purpose um, why Western style of education was introduced to Turkey, because before that it was basically just religious education. So you'd be learning like Islamic. I don't really know what you would have learned in those times. Basically, just like to interpret the Quran and the like. Whereas right now, religion is just one component of the education system, which is focused mostly on what you would call STEM classes here, just like science, technology, and that kind. That will enable Turkey to have a functioning economy and be able to contribute to like the world economy of its innovation. Right, I think the biggest challenge right now is the divide between western and eastern parts of Turkey, because basically the western part is more industrialized and more advanced part of Turkey. So basically, the way teachers choose which school they want to teach at is they list their choices, and then if they don't like their choices, they can actually choose to get into lottery again. So basically, if you get into like an eastern city, like if you're assigned to an eastern city, what usually ends up happening is that you end up deferring a year and then basically get into the lottery again, because most of the people want to build their life in the western cities because it's considered to be just like an easier lifestyle, better weather, and like more economic opportunities. Especially if you're with your family, there's nothing much to do in the east. So that's the biggest challenge, because there are teacher shortages, even though there's no national teachers shortage. It's just people choose not to go to the east. So the educational opportunities are much more limited, which is why the imbalance between the East and West is still apparent and not resolved, just because there's no educational opportunities for its people to move up in life. I think Turkey is one of those countries where religion is a very big part of Turkey. At the same time, there's this secular versus religious battle that's been going on politically, and then some people in the city support that Islam should be part of the public life as well, whereas a lot of the people think that it should be kept private and kept out of schools. So basically, what is hard to balance right now is um, the demands from both groups, basically. So what the government has tried to do so far is that they wanted to establish a system where you could choose to learn about Islam, but if you don't want to learn it, the government is not going to force you. So basically, there's this whole new battle about how much emphasis should be put on like Western philosophy versus what we can call Eastern thinking. And so, for example, when I was a student myself, I wasn't exposed to most of the Islamic thinking or like even Turkish thinkers at the time because it was considered to be un-Western and un-modern. But at the same time, this is also your heritage. So I think what the government and what the people of Turkey are trying to wrestle with right now is the fine balance between what we consider as very modern and then what we also consider to be our heritage. But at the same time, it was just an attack on the old system. And right now, we're trying to find a natural balance between the old and the new. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges in Turkey in general. So basically, I think for the eastern, the imbalance between the eastern and western parts of Turkey, I think most of it has to do with the security of the teachers even, because in most of these places, because there's a large Kurdish population and there's been tension between the Kurdish population and Turkish population, it's just hard for teachers to grasp the fact that they are going to be teaching at places where their safety is even not ensured. So basically, the government, I think, has to come to a common understanding with the Kurdish population and the local population, and then just like understand exactly what is their demand. Because I know for a fact that they demand, for instance, rights of education in their local language, like Kurdish, which has been denied so far. So maybe starting education in Kurdish and then have compulsory Turkish education at the same time will ensure a fine balance and maybe just like hope to develop the economy when the underlying safety of like every citizen is ensured. And for the secular and religious battle, I think it's just a very hard question, and I think Turkey is at the forefront of this secular versus religious battle, especially in the Islamic world. And this is sort of a pioneer, and we don't really have examples to look at. So this is something Turkish people just have to reflect a lot on, and then just come to a common understanding through a lot of discussions.